Some of the deepest thinkers in the room are often the first to leave. Not because they don't like you, not because something's wrong with them. Have you ever looked around a crowded room and thought, I'd honestly rather be home by myself, and then immediately wondered if something was wrong with you? Maybe you've been called distant, quiet, even antisocial. But what if your desire for solitude isn't a flaw at all? What if it's simply the way your mind restores itself? Stay with me, because the real reason isn't what most people assume, and it shows up in a place you'd never expect. We'll get there. Many intelligent people aren't escaping people, they're protecting the mental space where their thoughts can settle. This is one reason many intelligent people naturally value solitude. Our world celebrates being constantly connected. Text messages, notifications, endless conversations. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that being social means being healthy. But psychology tells a more nuanced story. People who enjoy deep thinking often process the world differently. Instead of quickly reacting to experiences, they spend time reflecting on them. A simple conversation isn't just forgotten after it ends. Their mind quietly revisits it, asking questions, connecting ideas, and searching for meaning. Imagine leaving a dinner with friends. Some people remember the jokes and move on. Someone with a deeply reflective mind might spend the next hour thinking about why one friend seemed unusually quiet. They might replay a meaningful sentence, wonder what wasn't said, or suddenly connect the conversation to something they read months ago. That isn't overcomplicating life. It's simply how their brain naturally works. Psychologists sometimes describe this as having a high need for cognition. It's a simple term that means you genuinely enjoy thinking not because you have to, but because your mind finds satisfaction in exploring ideas, patterns, and possibilities. And that kind of thinking requires something our modern lives rarely provide: silence. Solitude becomes less about escaping people and more about making room for your own thoughts. But here's the part almost nobody talks about: the real reason your body starts craving alone time before your mind even asks for it. Emotional energy. And for many intelligent people, this experience overlaps with another trait: high sensitivity. If you're also a highly sensitive person, you may notice things that others barely register. Tiny changes in someone's tone, a forced smile, the tension behind a polite conversation. Your brain is constantly collecting information. While others experience a gathering as relaxing, your mind may be quietly processing dozens of emotional signals at once. By the time you get home, you're exhausted. Not because you dislike people, because you've been carrying far more information than anyone realizes. This is not weakness. It's simply the way your nervous system has learned to pay attention. That's why being alone often feels like taking off a heavy backpack you didn't even know you were carrying. There's another misunderstanding worth talking about, and it's the one that trips up almost everyone who watches this video. People often confuse loneliness with loneliness. They're not the same thing. Loneliness is feeling disconnected, even when you want connection. Solitude is choosing time with yourself because it feels nourishing. Think about reading a book by the window while rain falls outside, taking a long walk without headphones, sitting quietly with a cup of tea, letting your thoughts settle. These moments don't drain you. They slowly return pieces of yourself that everyday life has scattered. For many intelligent people, being alone isn't about isolation, it's about mental recovery. Now, before you assume solitude is always the answer, it isn't. And this next part matters just as much as everything before it. Sometimes we hide from relationships because we've been hurt before. Psychologists sometimes call this avoidant coping, when staying away from situations feels safer than risking disappointment or rejection again. There's no shame in that. It's often a protective response your mind developed after difficult experiences. The important question isn't simply, do I spend time alone? It's, does my solitude help me reconnect with myself, or does it slowly disconnect me from life? Healthy solitude leaves you feeling calm, more creative, more emotionally balanced. Insulation leaves you feeling smaller, more anxious, more disconnected than before. The difference is gentle, but it's important. So, if you've always needed more quiet than the people around you, if you've been told you think too much, if you sometimes feel guilty for enjoying your own company, maybe there's nothing broken about you. Maybe your mind simply needs spaciousness in order to feel at peace. And that's not something to apologize for. This week, give yourself permission to spend just 15 quiet minutes alone without your phone, without distractions, without feeling guilty for not being productive. Notice what comes up. You might discover that the voice you've been trying so hard to hear has been waiting patiently beneath all the noise. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to justify quiet. Sometimes, being alone isn't withdrawing from life. It's returning to yourself. If this video helped you feel a little more understood, I'd love for you to stay with us by subscribing to Voyage Psychology. Until next time, be gentle with your mind. It's been carrying more than most people can see.